In our previous conversations with Angus Sholto-Douglas on Kwandwe Private Game Reserve.
So at the end of 1998, we started looking for a property, to develop a game reserve, a private game reserve in South Africa. About 5 years, we acquired the 20,000 hectares that Kwandwe is today. That was a time in my life I know will never be repeated. I mean, to go and catch rhinos and elephants, lions, cheetahs, all that stuff, bring it here. To this day, some of our most senior managers started in that period as, maybe in the scullery or as a butler in one of our lodges or something, and now as our assistant general manager. So a big smile and a wave to say hello. Everybody understands the value of the guest being here, and I think that helps us a great deal.
We continue our conversation with Angus.
So our game breeding initiative started when the Schwest family bought the property from sort of the previous partnership in around 2011, and the Schwest came with quite a long history of whitetail breeding in Texas, in the US, and we were already on the move to sort of start breeding our buffalo on a sort of bit more of a controlled system, because the bulk of our population just runs wild on the property with the lions and everything, and we started realizing these things of value, and that we and by that stage we had actually also, purely by chance, I mean, I'd love to take some credit for it, but we'd actually bred some pretty exceptional animals. So animals like Johann Bosch's Impi, Johann Rupert's Dardemach, and a couple more, Rufus at Mike Murray's. They all came from here, but that was just bulls we caught off the veld, so we didn't really know, we were none the wiser. And when the Schwest family came with that passion for breeding, and certainly the sort of technological understanding of genetics, was something we knew very little about, and it was fantastic to learn from that. And to this day, I mean, the whitetail breeding, what they're able to do with the genetics that they have over there is it shows that we still have a lot to learn in South Africa. So I think put those two together, and certainly we went into breeding, particularly buffalo, and to a lesser extent sable, although we have certainly accelerated our sable over the last 2 years. The buffalo breeding has become a great passion of ours. Economically, it adds to our whole model. I mean, our core business remains the ecotourism business, but certainly buffalo has definitely added a new economic dimension to our business. And our annual auction, every year is the platform on which we're able to showcase some of the genetics that we have. I think the average ecotourism guest that comes to a private game reserve in South Africa in particular really comes here because they just want to see the major, what I call the big and hairies, the big five, or maybe the addition of cheetah or something like that. So it's an enormous responsibility on our guides to control their understanding and educate them on the role of conservation and in private areas. That's a massive responsibility that we place on them, because when that guest comes, you've got to weave in the impact of insects, bird life, soil conservation, all those things in amongst the sort of megafauna, the big five or whichever animal they want to see. So it's not always that they come here, because it's a conservation area. And a lot of the time their understanding of that is shallow, I would say, not limited, but more shallow, because their education up until now has been National Geographic, where you see a kill on TV, and it happens 3 times in 40 minutes, whereas some of our guides would have worked here for 2 years and only seen 10 kills. So it's to understand that all these ecological processes work together to keep the reserve functioning, the reserve's ecosystem functioning. So it's a challenge for us, but it's it's more like a responsibility that we have to educate, particularly the international traveller.
In our last episode with Angus Sholto-Douglas.
Within wildlife ranching South Africa, WRSA, one of the pillars is ecotourism. And I think the term ecotourism is probably sometimes a bit broad. Ecotourism is the role that it can play within tourism in our country is enormous. We just shoot with a camera, but at the end of the day, they're very similar, and I think they have a lot of synergies, probably more so than what is recognized at the moment. I think a lot of the time the health of the wildlife industry is dictated to by the game sales. I still see now that there's a much greater opportunity now for new entrants than there was 3 to 4 years ago, and that's what needs to be communicated to everybody.